These mocha cinnamon rolls are sinfully good and pretty easy to make too. Combine flour, instant yeast, cocoa powder, sugar, and salt in a large bowl. Now, in a smaller bowl or ramekin, dissolve 2 tablespoons of instant coffee into 1.5 cups of warm milk. Pour the milk mixture, followed by melted butter, 1 whole egg, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract into the dry ingredients. Then mix with your hands or the dough hook attachment of a stand mixer until a rough dough starts to come together. Just keep kneading it until the dough becomes smooth and elastic. Cover the dough and let rise in a warm place for 1 to 2 hours. In the meantime, prepare the filling by mixing together melted unsalted butter, brown or raw sugar, and ground cinnamon. Roll the dough into a rough rectangle about 1/4 inch thick. Now pour the filling onto the dough and use a spatula to spread it out evenly. Let's kick it up a notch by sprinkling on mini chocolate chips. Gently roll the dough over the filling as tightly and evenly as you can. Then cut into 12 even slices. Place the rolls into a lightly greased 9 by 13 inch pan. Cover and let rise for another 1 to 2 hours. After they have risen, remove the plastic wrap and bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes. These were seriously one of my favorite recipes we've ever made. Definitely decadent, but you're worth it.
Okay, here's the thing. I had to speed this video up super fast to fit it all under 1 minute. This recipe is for wool roll bread, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but also really gorgeous. Basically what you need to do is make a slightly sweet dough with bread flour, salt, sugar, whipping cream, and egg, and also activated yeast. Knead the dough until it's smooth and elastic, and then form it into a ball and place in a bowl to let rest for about an hour. Once it's risen, divide the dough into 5 equal portions. Next, form each portion into its own small ball, and then allow those to rest for about 15 more minutes. After they've rested, roll each portion out into an oval. Use a bench scraper to cut half the oval into thin ribbons. Spread pureed cranberry jam onto the solid side of the oval and then sprinkle on dried cranberries. Next, tuck the edges in and carefully roll the dough into a cylinder. Place the dough around the edge of an 8-inch springform pan, then cover and let rest for another hour. Brush the top with milk and then bake in a 340-degree oven for 17 to 20 minutes.
Here's how you can make the ultimate 3-layer chocolate cake. Grease 3 9-inch round cake tins with butter. Next, pour in a small amount of cocoa powder or flour. Gently tap and swirl the pan to evenly coat the bottom and sides with the powder. When you're done, tap out the excess into the cocoa powder you're going to use for the cake. Set the pans aside and in a large bowl, combine 3 cups of all-purpose flour with granulated sugar, more cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and to add a little sophistication, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. You only need a little bit of cardamom to elevate the flavor of the cake. Once all the dry ingredients are well combined, it's time to add the wet, starting with 4 large eggs. Next, pour in 1.5 cups of buttermilk. Now add warm water, half a cup of neutral oil to keep the cake moist, and finally 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Use an electric mixer or whisk to combine everything, but be careful not to overmix. Divide the batter evenly between the 3 prepared cake pans. Then bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. When they're done, allow to cool in the pan for about 15 minutes. Then you can use a knife to gently separate from the pan and invert onto a cooling rack. The cakes now need to cool completely before you can frost them.
Here's how you make lemon butter cake. Start by sifting together 230 grams of cake flour with half a teaspoon of baking powder. Set that aside and in a separate bowl, start whipping together unsalted butter with castor or granulated sugar. It's best to use an electric mixer to get it light and fluffy. Now it's time to add 5 eggs one at a time, whipping in between until they're all combined. Bring back the dry ingredients and add gradually 1 or 2 spoonfuls at a time, mixing in between until all of the flour has been combined. At this point, your batter should be super smooth. Add the zest of 1 large lemon, followed by a 1/4 cup of milk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Whisk again until just combined, and then finally add 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Once the lemon juice is just combined, you can transfer the batter to an 8-inch square baking dish lined with parchment paper. Gently shake to even out the top, then bake at 320 for 55 to 60 minutes. We made the mistake of cutting the cake while it was still hot, which is why it looks so dense in the middle.